Look, when I came up with the idea for the Welcome to the Offseason series, that we are going to go and be the GM of every single team in the NFL for the 2021 offseason, I knew that this day was going to come one day. I knew it was coming. I knew the day that I was going to have to talk Raiders football was going to come. But I didn't think it would be this soon.
I gave you fair warning, beware. Smack him in the corner of the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. Smack him in the mouth. I gave you fair warning, beware. Smack him in the mouth.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am Mike, and I am on the mic of the most electrifying sports YouTube channel in the game today. And as you heard from the intro, your voice has been heard, and y'all voted that the next team that will be featured in the Welcome to the Offseason series, where I step into the seat of general manager of every NFL team in the league for the 2021 offseason, will be the Las Vegas Raiders. Almost lost my lunch there. As you guys know, I'm a huge Los Angeles Chargers fan, and I absolutely despise the Raiders and all their fans. So congratulations to y'all. Y'all got me on this one. Anyways, all jokes aside, I'm going to take a sincere look at the Raiders for this 2021 offseason, and I'm going to do my best to try and improve the team. But first, Raiders fan, Chargers fan, or every other NFL fan in the book, if you could help me out to do this on a more full-time basis, the goal is 1,000 subscribers. It takes 2 seconds to hit the subscription, hit the little notification bell next to it so you are alerted for every time I drop a video on these NFL offseason series. If you want to see your favorite team featured on the next episode, drop a comment to team, and whichever team has the most votes by the time I'm about to record the next video will be the team that will be featured next. I'm not going to tell y'all my second least favorite team, because then that's going to end up being the team that we end up doing. So it's up to you. Drop a comment, please. We got over 30 comments in the last video. Outstanding, amazing turnout for that one. All right, so let's get into the GM seat of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Raiders! Raiders!
So I'm going to be going over every part of the 2021 offseason, starting with the re-sign/cut period, trying to clear some cap, especially in this situation. We do need to clear some cap with the Las Vegas Raiders. We're going to go through free agency period, what guys I'm going to acquire, what guys I'm going to sign, what the cap that I'm able to clear through the cut and re-sign period. And then we're going to go to some trade-ins. During the re-sign and cut period, I'll talk about some trade-outs. That's kind of outside the timeline. I just want to put everything that is cap clearing together. So after free agency, we're going to go into the trade-ins, guys I'm going to try and acquire from other teams that I think might be on the trade block, and then finish everything off with the cherry on top, and that's the NFL draft. Now, one last disclaimer, this is a super dream scenario. I am not actually an NFL GM, and there's a reason for it, so just take everything I say with a grain of salt. This is kind of dream scenario. Realistically, a lot of this stuff probably isn't even possible to happen, but it's fun to speculate, and I try my best to do things that are reasonable, but maybe not necessarily likely. So without further ado, I want to start off every video and start off every team by identifying some strengths and weaknesses, so that way I kind of know what my points of attack are going to be as the GM. Some needs and some weaknesses for the Las Vegas Raiders, things that I would identify at least. For one is the wide receiver core. So we're definitely going to be adding a wide receiver or two during this offseason. As a matter of fact, I'd actually like to go ahead and kind of transition this team into a strictly run-first offense. Not that I don't trust Derek Carr, but the lack of receivers and the money it's going to cost to bring a receiver in this offseason, it's just hard to do because the Raiders are in the hole in the cap right now, and I'm going to have to clear a lot of cap. As well as, I think if you give Derek Carr that style of offense, a style of offense that kind of like Baker Mayfield has, I think he could find some success. And honestly, I think Derek Carr's a better overall quarterback than Baker Mayfield, especially as a game manager. So giving him a really elite play action to go off of an elite run game, I think is important for this offseason for the Las Vegas Raiders, at least from my perspective, if I am their GM. Then the final need/weakness I wanted to highlight, and I'm going to highlight as I go forward in this video, is I want to add some veteran leadership to this secondary. I actually think they have some building blocks. The majority of the opinion for the Las Vegas Raiders is that their secondary is absolutely hot pile of steamy garbage.
You're trash, kid. Get good.
And as much as I love hating on the Raiders as the next guy, I actually think there's a lot of potential in that secondary. I like Damian Arnett. I like Trayvon Mullen. Obviously, I like Jonathan Abram. They just need some veteran leadership. They just need some guidance so that way when these guys do start to develop, because they're all very young players in the NFL, they kind of have a sense of direction to develop in and go in a positive way. So I actually kind of like what we got as the building blocks of this secondary, but I want to add in some veteran leadership. Now, some strength of our team is obviously that offensive line. One of the best in football, in my opinion, and when these guys are healthy, they may be the best in football. You got Trent Brown, you got Rodney Hudson. Those guys both could be best at their position. It's just the question is, can they stay healthy? I'm going to trust that these guys stay healthy, so I'm going to say we don't need to work on the offensive line too much. And I firmly believe that we have a quarterback in Derek Carr that we can succeed with. Is he going to carry us like a backpack all the way to the Super Bowl? No, not necessarily, but I definitely think if we can build a good team around him, like I said, give him an elite play-action game, with his football IQ and just his raw passion to play the game, he could take us further than most would expect. And I believe that for most teams, that the building blocks of a successful offense is going to be the offensive line and a quarterback that can do it. It does not need to be Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. You can do it with a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo. The 49ers got all the way to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. Jared Goff. You just got to have the building blocks around them. All right, let's look at the re-sign period for the Las Vegas Raiders. Guys that I'm definitely bringing back, at least guys I want to highlight, because I'm going to bring back a bunch of role players also, but I'm not going to go over every single role player. We'll be here all day. A big one is Takaris McKinley. I still think he has some potential in the league, and when he's healthy, he can be an 8 to 10 sack guy. He's also very versatile. He can drop back into coverage off the outside linebacker position. I am a firm believer and preacher that you can never have too many linebackers, at least depth-wise, have too many decent linebackers. Linebacking position is important in stopping the pass and important in stopping the run. Very important part of your defense. So when you can get a guy for cheap, like McKinley's going to be cheap because he is coming off of some injuries issues, I say you go for it. And then another big one that I think the Raiders are going to really re-sign back is Daniel Carlson, kicker last year. He actually led the NFL in overall field goal percentage, going 33 of 35 in 2020. Very impressive, and is starting to establish himself as one of the up-and-coming kickers in the NFL. Definitely want to bring him back. And like I said, we're going to add some other role players. We were negative $7 million in the hole before the re-sign period. I think we're going to be negative $20 million in the hole after the re-sign period. So a lot of work to be done as far as cap casualties. So the big thing I want to do for the offense is I want to shift towards more of a style like the Browns. Like I said, I want to surround Derek Carr with a lot of receivers that are very good after the catch and off the play action. I want to surround him with a really strong running game behind that very good offensive line. Tyrell Williams just does not fit into that style offense. He's a big down the field, you got to step back and stand in the pocket for 3 to 5 seconds and launch it to him style of receiver. He's also been injured over the last couple seasons with the Raiders and with the Chargers in the past. Cutting him will clear $11 million. And in my fantasy scenario, they had not cut Tyrell Williams yet. But as I'm recording, they actually have cut Tyrell Williams. So I am going to also cut Tyrell Williams from the Las Vegas Raiders this offseason. Now, some smaller cuts, some smaller cap casualties. I'm going to cut offensive tackle Brendan Parker. Kind of a depth guy that's going to save us $2 million. Like I said, we're going to need to be stingy with this to try and get back into a positive cap situation. We're going to cut Jalen Richard because I got some other plans for the running back position. He's going to save us $4 million. And we're going to cut defensive lineman Arden Key. He's going to save us another $2 million. Then we're going to move on to some trades, some guys that we don't necessarily need to just straight out cut that we possibly could get some 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round picks for as cap casualties. Trading Marcus Mariota, I'd like to see him go to New Orleans personally, but I don't care who he goes to. I'm the Las Vegas Raiders GM right now. I think we can get a 5th or 6th round pick for him. That saves us about $10 million. You don't pay your backup quarterback $10 million when we're going with Derek Carr fully committed. I'm sending LaMarcus Jr. out for a 4th and a 7th round pick. Realistically, maybe he could go for a 5th or 6th. I'm just trying to acquire some of these late picks for later on moves that I'm going to make down the road. You'll see. But getting LaMarcus Jr. out of Las Vegas, he's an aging defensive back. A guy that can still play, in my opinion, but just not going to fit our style of team. And this is the time to cash in on him because after next season, he's going to have damn near no value and he's just going to be a guy you're going to have to cut. This move will save us $11 million. And then additionally, I'm going to trade guard Gabe Jackson for a 4th round pick, which is going to gain us another $10 million. Now, I know Gabe Jackson is a starter on this offensive line, and we're trying to go to a run-heavy play-action style of offense. But I think if we start a competition between Denzel Good and John Simpson for that guard position, one of them is going to come out on top, and that guy is going to be the guy that's going to fill that role that we're going to lose in Gabe Jackson. I just don't think he's worth $10 million at this point in his career. He's been very up and down, and he's another guy where if you want to get value for him, now's the time in his late 20s. So, in this little period where we're cutting people, re-signing people, and trading people, we've acquired 2 4th-round picks approximately, a 5th-round pick, and a 7th-round pick, and we've cleared nearly $50 million in cap space. I would call that a success. Now, disclaimer, in real life, if you see the Raiders making the moves to clear this much cap, because that's a lot of cap, they're probably gearing up to do something much bigger than I plan on doing in this video, such as going for Deshaun Watson or going for Russell Wilson via a trade. I mean, I literally cleared $50 million in cap with these moves to get us to a positive $30 million in cap to spend in free agency. Speaking of free agency, this is where we get to work. So like I said, we got $30 million to spend. So starting with the defensive side of the ball, like I said earlier, I want to bring in some veteran leadership in the secondary. So I'm going to sign cornerback Xavier Rhodes, formerly of the Minnesota Vikings and most recently the Indianapolis Colts. This guy just adds some pure leadership to that cornerback room. Like I said, I like Arnett and I like Mullins' potential. And I like either one of them starting to prevail as the CB1 of this team. I think Xavier Rhodes can be a very good mentor, and he can also provide some value to the team himself. Last year with the Colts, he was a big part of that defense, and he really stepped up in a spot where we thought he was done after his injuries in Minnesota. So while Indianapolis got him on a 1-year, $3 million contract last year, we're probably spending around $5 to $6 million on him just because he had such a successful season. And then also, like I said, I never can have too many linebackers. Raiders aren't too strong at linebacker, but I feel safe with the development pieces that we have at linebacker. But I'm going to add Patrick Onwuasor, someone. I think it's Onwuasor. Honestly, I'm not sure. And I'm a little bit embarrassed that I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Anyways, he was a very solid linebacker for Baltimore and New York, and he's cheap, and we can get him to come in as a young guy that's going to help out our linebacker core for around $4 million. So it's not too bad. And then for the offense, as far as the free agency period goes, just straight signing people, I'm going to be looking at running back Mike Davis. Now, I know what everyone's thinking. You have Josh Jacobs. Why are you going to go for Mike Davis? Like I said, I want Mike Davis to be my Kareem Hunt. I'm looking at the success of the Browns offense as far as the ground game and play action off of that run game. And I'm trying to model a little bit of that success into this team because I feel like we have the building blocks to do it. Mike Davis is going to be my Kareem Hunt. He's a hard downhill runner. He's a pretty good pass blocker. And he's also very good out the backfield as a pass catcher. He could be the perfect guy to bounce off of Josh Jacobs, and I think these two together would form one of the best running back tandems in the NFL. Josh Jacobs started off the year red hot this last season, but kind of ran out of juice towards the end of the year, and the Raiders just stopped handing him the ball. And a lot of that probably had to do with the offensive line injuries and other injuries to Josh Jacobs that we may not know about that were happening behind the scenes. But I think Mike Davis can really be the guy that can take enough carries to where Josh Jacobs can keep that train engine going until the end of the year. That leaves us $16 million left to address the wide receiver position. Now, I want to sign Juju Smith-Schuster here. I will say that, but he's going to take that entire $16 million up. And I'm trying to remain in a positive cap situation going into the next season. I'm trying to leave every team that I take over as a GM in these videos in a positive cap situation. Signing Juju would put us in the hole by the time we got to sign our rookies and re-sign next season's free agents. So I'm actually not going to sign Juju Smith-Schuster, but in real life, I could see the Raiders not going for Mike Davis, not going for these defensive guys that I wanted to pick up and saving that money to go ahead and bring Juju Smith to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think he'd be the perfect guy to fit into the offense I want to run because I want to run those guys that are good at taking slants and making 25, 30-yard gains out of them. Juju Smith-Schuster, that's his bread and butter. So instead of going for the big money, Juju Smith-Schuster, I'm going to bring in a guy who I think has similar play style and similar upside as a wide receiver in the league, a guy who I think could be our wide receiver one for a long time, and that is Corey Davis, formerly of the Tennessee Titans. He's going to cost about half the amount of Juju, but probably put out the same or more production than Juju. So Corey Davis is going to be a Las Vegas Raider, and that makes our receiving core Corey Davis, Henry Ruggs, and Hunter Renfrow. All guys that are going to be very good at taking those slants, taking those screens, taking those play action opportunities and turning them into big gains. Derek Carr doesn't have to do as much work all by himself. And another plus, after free agency, we're going to be about $8 or $9 million in the positive in the cap room, which I will definitely take. Now, some trade-ins. With that cap room comes the option to make a blockbuster trade to help out my defense a little bit more. So the Las Vegas Raiders will be trading free safety Jeff Heath, cornerback Nevin Lawson, a 3rd-round pick, a 5th-round pick, and a 7th-round pick for safety Harrison Smith, formerly of the Minnesota Vikings, now of your Las Vegas Raiders. Now, this could be a styles clash just because Abrams and Harrison Smith typically both play strong safety, but they're both very versatile strong safeties that can move to the free safety position. So having Smith and Abrams, I think Abrams would be more likely to move because he's a little bit younger, a little bit faster, to the free safety position. We have 2 guys that can roll up and down, in and out of the box, and come down and help with run support and pass rush, / go drop back into coverage and be some of the best in the NFL. Adding Xavier Rhodes, adding Harrison Smith immediately fixes any secondary problems that the Raiders had last year and could have in the future. Also, Harrison Smith brings that veteran leadership to the secondary. Like I said, I want to address because I do believe in the youth that the Raiders already have in place in the secondary. Also, I really do think Harrison Smith could get dealt, maybe not to the Las Vegas Raiders, but I really do think Harrison Smith could get dealt this offseason. Look, the Vikings are in an interesting situation where it seems like they have some young stars up and coming, but they don't know what they're going to do at the quarterback position. They don't know what they're going to do with some of these veterans on defense, and Harrison Smith is in the last year of his deal. So the Vikings want to get something out of him before he just flat out walks away from the team in the 2022 offseason. They may be willing to trade him here and acquire some quantity over quality. And also the 3rd, 5th, and 7th round draft picks they could use to acquire more players or go ahead and draft the future Minnesota Viking. Now, as a Chargers fan, I'd absolutely hate this. I just want to point that out as well.
Hate, double hate.
Loathe entirely.
So even after this deal acquiring Harrison Smith, he's going to be about a $10 to $11 million cap hit, but we're trading out around $4 million or $5 million. So right at the middle, we're going to lose another $5 million, and we're going to end up approximately $4 to $5 million in the positive in the cap space going into 2022 offseason, which I am completely fine with because you saw me clear $50 million to start the video off. So I feel like as long as you stay outside the negative, you are in a very good situation for cap, and I want to leave every team that I possibly can. The Houston Texans are going to be a challenge. In a positive cap situation, with everything looking bright and sunny for the future, as much as I'd like it to be rainy and gloomy for the Las Vegas Raiders. All right, let's head to the NFL draft. So with the Los Angeles Chargers offseason, I actually did a blockbuster trade on draft day, and I'm going to do it again for the Raiders. Just keep in mind that, like I said, a lot of this stuff is dream scenario and extremely unlikely to actually happen in real life. But this is what I would do if I was a GM, because I see some players in this NFL draft going from like 8 to the 13 range that are worth top 5 picks. But because this year's NFL draft is such a QB heavy draft, and as well I would say is wide receiver heavy draft, a lot of guys are going to slide into that 10 to 15 range, 8 to 15 range that I think normally would go inside of the top 5, at least the top 10. So these teams that are right here in this area where the Raiders are have a great opportunity to move up a few picks and get a guy with top 5 pick potential in the middle of the first round. With that being said, we are trading the 17th overall pick, our original first round pick, our second round pick, whenever that's going to be, our 5th round pick, and a 2022 third round pick to move up 7 spots to pick 10 to draft Michigan edge rusher Kwity Paye. This fills the final missing piece to this defense, which I think is an elite pass rusher. I like Max Crosby, but I think when people double team him, he can get slowed down. Adding Paye to this defense, now you can't double team Crosby, so he's going to get to eat. and then Pay is going to eat on the other side on his own. And with me beefing up this secondary, adding some star talent to the secondary, I got to make sure the pass rush is good as well. So that way we can get the full positive of Harrison Smith, Abrams, Rhodes, Arnett, and Mullen in the secondary. Now, look, realistically, the Raiders could go wide receiver at 17. There's a bunch of really good wide receivers available in this draft, especially if they don't sign a wide receiver in free agency. Or they could actually still go edge rusher, as I am going in this little simulation scenario. And I think edge rusher Gregory Rousseau is going to be available at 17. I'm in my opinion, the gap between him and Pay is large enough to make it worth it to go ahead and jump up and grab Pay instead. You also have your division rival Denver Broncos and Los Angeles Chargers drafting ahead of you in this draft, so being aggressive and getting into that mix with them would probably be beneficial to the Las Vegas Raiders. So when it's all said and done, this is what our lineups look like, offense and defense. This is what the 2021 Raiders would look like entering the game. Like I said, on offense, I want to become more like the Cleveland Browns style of offense. Run heavy. We're going to feed Josh Jacobs. We're going to feed Mike Davis behind that very strong offensive line. And then we're going to start hitting people with play action and short passes with our speedy, reliable wide receivers for Derek Carr to get the ball to. And on defense, we're going to be very pass rush heavy. We're going to send a lot of blitzes. We're going to send a lot of pressure for our opportunistic secondary to go ahead and go to work. Harrison Smith, Abrams are going to be flying all over the field, blitzing, dropping back into coverage, helping in run defense. And Xavier Rhodes and our cornerbacks are going to be flying around in the secondary. I think I did an okay job. Let me know how you think I did in the comment section and give me a suggestion for the next team you want to see featured on this video series. Welcome to the offseason 2021. Again, help me get to do this full time. It is my absolute dream, and it only takes you 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button and little notification bell right next to it. If you want more content from me, you can follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on any social media platform at Mike on the Mic Sports, as well as the second show that I co-host with my not so good friend, also a Raiders fan, Joe Morley. Friday Night Wars. It airs every Friday night, and I need some support because right now he has 10 victories. I have 7 victories. This is a show where you decide the winner of the debate every single week. So go ahead and head over to that show, Friday Night Wars, on the Warzone Sports Network on YouTube. I think that's all the cheap plugs for the episode. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I am Mike, and I am on the mic. And this is me saying, until next time.
Warning, beware, beware. Smack him in the mouth. I gave you fair warning, beware, beware. Smack him in the mouth. I gave you fair warning, beware, beware. Smack him in the mouth.